Well. Yeah.
Calling to order the September 16th, 2021 Historic Resources Commission meeting. It is 4:06 p.m. The next business meeting is Thursday, October 7th, 2021 at noon here on 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204. The next hearing will be Thursday, October 21st, 2021 at 4 p.m. Also 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204. Swearing in of the staff. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony this evening?
I do. Connie Torbeck, Assistant Historic Preservation Officer.
Wonderful, thank you. Introduction of the commissioners present here this evening. On my right.
Clyde Henry, architect.
Mega Sinha, Urban Planner.
Wonderful. And Joseph McCabe, Chair. This evening in public forum, I don't believe that there is any public forum items. No public forum items. Second item on the agenda, approval of the staff approvals.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the staff approvals.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Clyde Henry?
Aye.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. Motion passes unanimously. Approval of the minutes from the last meeting, the August 19th, 2021 meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Staff reports and the applications for certificate of appropriateness, staff recommended applications.
So, number one is 427 Cleveland Avenue. This is for rezoning and variances. The proposed variances are similar to those previously recommended for approval. The application was moved to staff approval at the September 2nd HRC business meeting, and the recommendation has been issued. No action required. And I'll continue with those. Number two, 652 South Champion Avenue for a new garage. This application is consistent with guidelines for new garages. The application was moved to staff approval at the September 2nd HRC business meeting. A COA will be issued when revised drawings are submitted, which I actually did just receive. So Number three, 710 South Champion Avenue. This is for slate removal. The required information was submitted to document the deteriorated condition of the slate. The application was moved to staff approval by the September 2nd HRC business meeting. The COA has been issued. And a note on this one, I had a similar one in Bree District where this was approved, the carriage house, because of the shape of the slate that was there. Bree District, they said, someone called me and said the contractor said they're no longer making this shingle. So I called Certain Keys and they said that they will be making it again. It might be 2022 sometime. So I talked with Jamie about it. We went ahead and changed it to another shingle on the approved list because, you know, we can't go the leaking.
Right, agree.
Okay, so that has been done. Number four is requesting to be continued. Have a motion to continue.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, wonderful. Hearing a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Passes unanimously.
And our first application for review is number 5, 310 South High Street. Hello.
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 If you could have a seat and with this sworn in here, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony this evening? If you could state your full name and association with the property for record.
Deborah McLaughlin, representative of the architect of record for the project, on behalf of the owner, Magna Hospitality.
Thank you.
Okay, this application was continued from the July 15 and the August 19 HRC hearing to allow time for the applicant to submit additional materials. In July, installation of a new exhaust intake system was approved, and the revised materials have been submitted. September 2nd business meeting comments included, there was no opposition to removing the 3 awnings, extending the patio railing height, or installing string lights, or installing the 5 CB plates on the railing, and also planters and seatings, and no opposition to the push-through letters on the blade side. Staff noted that the wall sign was being removed so that the face of the sign would not be illuminated. That has been revised. There was a comment to make sure that the font is the same on all signage, and that has also been taken care of. So historic photos document that the hotel has had a variety of awning types on various floors over the years. Removing the 3 awnings is not inconsistent with changes that have been made historically. The text on the railing plaques has been reduced to a logo, and the wall sign and projecting sign are consistent with the adopted short-term design guidelines for signage. So recommend approval of application HR 2107015B as submitted.
As the applicant, do you have anything additional to add?
No, I think Connie did a great job of explaining it and describing it. Hopefully we have addressed all of the comments from the previous commission's review. Can answer any additional questions.
Commission members,
I have no questions.
No questions? Good.
do I have a motion?
Yes, if I can find it on my agenda here again. This is item 4, right?
Number
5.
5.
I'm sorry. Item HR-21-07-015B, 310 South High Street. I move to approve as submitted.
Second?
Having a motion and a second, any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Fine, case number 6.
Number 6 is requesting be continued to October so they can submit a new life plan.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Abstention?
And number 7, we have people present. Sabatino Free Driving Room.
You can have a seat and then raise your right hand and get sworn in. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony this evening before the commission?
Yes.
Wonderful. If you could state your full name and association with the property for the record.
Kiara Chapman, Realtor.
Wonderful.
So this application is demolished the existing historic garage and rebuilt a new garage. It's in a similar form. This application was continued from the August 21st HRC hearing to allow the applicant to submit revised drawings. September 2nd business meeting comments include the set of triple windows and placement of the door opening on the south elevation should be replicated rather than a door flanked by 2 windows as currently proposed. It was noted that the door opening was originally wider and was maybe even a barn type door. There originally, the proposed craftsman door is fine. Also, the proposed light fixtures are fine. Based on staff site visit, demolition of the existing garage appears appropriate based on the deteriorated condition. The size and form of the garage are unusual. The original details of the contributing garage should be replicated as closely as possible to convey its architectural and historical significance, including wood siding and overhead vehicular doors to match the original design as closely as possible. And we do have that. Recommend approval of the application with the change in door and window placement as noted by the commissioners at the business meeting.
Okay, Michael, does the applicant have anything to add at this time?
No, I think we're fine with moving the door from the middle of the garage back to where it is currently. We did want to know if you felt it had any historical significance to the building, or if it was just more so this preference, or,
I think our feeling was, because of the historical significance, generally, when replacing a item that's going to be demoed, it's like for like. And that would be a significant change. Our personal preferences are irrelevant. We have to always keep to what precedence has been and what, our bylaws and regulations call for. And I think our feeling is because it's what's there. And because the idea of the application is that you're replicating what's there. The three would be there. And granted, we are compromising a little bit on the door issue. In part because we can't be sure what was there, whereas we're sure that the three windows were there.
okay, so yeah, I think we're fine with that. And then the front and the back were also approved, the garage doors.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, they're fine.
okay,
That was the only change. Yeah, it basically was, the GAF Royal Sovereign shingles, which is on the list, Hardy Select Cedar Mill 4-inch plank siding, and the two, clopay doors, one being, more plain on the rear, two match as closely as possible what's there.
And Connie, the only maybe additional question I have, so obviously, if we were to approve this, it's gonna be that on the condition that we get, potentially get 3 windows instead of
Yeah,
the.
so design.
Then, also, I just want to point out, like, the trim, the way the trim kind of comes past the framing of the window is maybe not exactly the same. So it's like this comes beyond the corner.
Oh, I see what you're
So it's
saying.
a common detail, and it's on both sides of it, it looks like, so there are some trim.
And they're not showing it on
there.
Yeah, do you know what he's referring to? What,
So,
look at the
if you
picture.
look at a photo, the head of the window, the trim is not an equal all the way around. It actually just comes beyond like the corners, on each of the left and right-hand corners and the upper
Just
corner.
slightly,
Yeah,
half
yeah.
an inch or something.
Right. It's just, again, make sure that we capture like for like.
okay. So, sorry, let me make sure, which part of the trim?
It just comes over about,
Oh, I see,
Quarter of an
okay.
inch.
And I know that may seem insignificant to you, but it's replicating like for like to the greatest extent possible. I mean, I think we're already allowing for the boxing in of soffits and fascia to more modern construction, but I want to make sure that we capture all of the essence of the details here.
And the same goes with the bottom seal. Yeah, just take some photos of it, up tight or up close and just replicate it.
You know, and that's probably literally a 30-second change with your architect in the drawing.
Yeah, I don't think that's a big deal, okay.
and
Yeah,
that's
I mean, there is that vertical piece in between, but I don't have strong feelings on that, do you?
Which, no, that right there, I think that's just the joint, no, to the right. Keep going.
Yeah.
That's right there.
And when I looked at it, I was able to convince myself that that's possibly a later, have we repaired something or done something?
even a support or something, they put in there.
Yeah, because it doesn't quite align exactly at the top, and so I thought, well, okay.
Too wide.
Yeah, so I thought this is probably not historical, so I was willing to kind of, we don't have evidence.
So we don't have to match, we can just put a door, where that piece of wood is, a man door.
Yeah,
We don't have to match that,
Your door should be in the same general location as the door is right now.
But you can just put in one door.
just one door, okay.
It would be fine. We suspect probably what was there was that there was a double door, maybe for a horse or something, if this is an earlier construction, but we don't really have evidence for that. We do have evidence that this single door has been there for a long time. So, and within the period, so that's fine.
One thing we haven't talked about is that we generally require not a HABs report for a garage, like we would for a house or something. Some level of just documenting what was there, taking a good photo of each side of the building, the details of the building on the inside and out, and some, maybe the measurements, height and the width, and just so we have that for, and we need that less in this case because you're going ahead and rebuilding it, like for like. So sometimes, you know, if they're not rebuilt right away, we need that for the future. So if someone does rebuild, they can use those.
So you're saying you need measurements?
And photos,
And
just
photos of the
before,
inside.
before you demolish it.
Yeah, and, you know, your architect probably, again, just, you know, take photos of every major elevation, take photos of any details you see and just put them on a sheet. Could even part of his drawing submittal package to you, Connie. A lot of the photos are the similar photos of what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
And maybe a few of the interiors showing the structure. Structural lines above.
Do we need this before we get final approval? Or is it just before, because the measurements that we submitted are based on what's currently
Yeah,
there?
that's what I figured.
Yeah,
So you could just like put that on the sheet, you know, right, it's this wide and this deep and this tall and. Photos. And I probably will just need to get that before I. Because then you need to get demolition. permit, you know. So, you'll need to have all of that before the building department will issue.
okay,
I think in general, maybe the commission may be leaning towards approval this evening with some conditions that you can just sort out with staff.
okay.
Is there a possibility of a motion here?
Yeah,
I can go ahead. Make motion to approve HR 2108-019B with a few conditions. Do we have to state them?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of them would be that we want to ensure that there are 3 windows and that the framing of the windows match accurately or close to what we have currently as discussed, and that the applicant take measurements of the existing structure and supply that as part of the application along with just images of the existing garage before it's demolished. Did we miss anything?
no, I think we're fine.
Do you have a second?
Okay, I will second that.
Wonderful. Hearing a motion in a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Oh.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes.
And then we just wanted to, I spoke to Vera and also to the commission about some additional information that I received about the box cutters.
Mhm.
So last month, it was approved to install K-style gutters. When Kira and I were out there, we were standing in the driveway between the 2 buildings looking up, and that's an area where the gutters are missing. And so I didn't see anything. I discussed it with the commissioners. Commissioner McCabe had some past memory of people working there, maybe
Yes.
taking pieces off and so forth.
Yeah, anytime there was anything that was starting to rot, they were quickly just taking pieces off and never putting anything back over a 3-year time span.
Yeah,
So then I did get we didn't have any above good photos. So now we do have those, which I have under old business, which shows that there are box cutters that are existing. There's some.
Which are identical to all the big houses on Brighton Road. Like, that's what I would have expected to see right there. I mean, you can see the box profile.
So you can see the box cutter there, and you can see where it's missing here. I should have brought down the notes that Precision Slate actually sent to me, the amount of feet that's missing. But it's definitely not the majority of that's missing.
And that is currently, from the looks of it, a metal lined gutter with maybe some rubber sections infilled.
Well, remember when I had the photos of the stuff that was lying in the on the grass and
Yeah.
ground? And that's what those 2 missing sections are, those missing sections. They're lying on the ground.
yeah. I believe this is the top part of the house versus like the lower level where we were kind of standing.
Okay.
I
This
think
was the porch or?
the porch, yeah. And most of those gutters are gone. Like even on the other side of the house, there's 2 sides where the gutters are just completely gone. And even the ones that are still there, that are still present are a lot of them are in bad shape. Since the approval of the last gutters a month ago, we did start to budget differently. And we did start to, make moves according to that approval. So we were just gonna ask, is it okay if we can go ahead and move forward with the current approval that we had? Because it was a month ago, and we are under a tight timeline. The box gutters do take a long time to get in. They are significantly higher as well as far as cost goes, but if we would have got a different approval, I think a month ago, we would have moved differently, but now everyone else is kind of, made adjustments based on that approval.
Because we did approve the other gutters, correct?
Yes.
And I mean, is there even precedence that we can reverse our approval? Or?
Yeah, so that was where I actually earlier asked Connie for the city attorney's office to weigh in on this, just because it would be considered a reconsideration.
Yeah.
And there's truly not provisions that prevent HRC from doing a reconsideration, given its new details. And we are specifically charged with protecting historic fabric, is the way I've read their decision.
We could go back and change our decision.
Well,
Because-
because an applicant and staff can present information supporting a COA modification. A reconsideration motion could be brought forward that then modifies the certificate of appropriateness. And this is one of the probably few scenarios where reconsideration may be appropriate, given solely our charge as a commission. It would have to, weigh in, this group would have to take, this is this new information? It's not as if, I don't believe staff had already been out to site. The applicant wasn't intentionally hiding anything that at least we believe.
Yeah.
What the code that the city attorney, quoted was, because what I had said, it would be contrary to, 3116.11 standards for alteration 2, 5, and 6, which basically, I don't have it in front of me, but has to do with, repairing in like kind and protecting, important architectural features. He also said, moreover, 3116.11, number 1, emphasizes providing a compatible minimum alteration to any property. And by revisiting the COA to modify the order to repair, the COA would therefore be keeping with the spirit of the law by providing minimal alteration by repairing rather than replacing. Could there be an option possibly if there is more missing from the port?
Yeah, I think what we see here is the ones that are actually present, but I think what we're not seeing is the rest of the roof that is completely gone.
And Connie, help me out. So that the tile roof is remaining, and then you are, explain to me what has actually been approved. If they're moving toward what's been approved, they're simply boxing out and then jumping the former box location?
I actually wasn't sure how they would want to do it. Because they would have to cover over the box gutters with something. So, since we thought they were gone, what would you put over that? Asphalt shingles? That wouldn't be good. Piece of plywood? I don't know. Or to cut them off.
That would be I don't know that once you cut, you can't really cut that gutter face off, because then you've also eaves and overhangs below. And I don't think you can find these tiles.
Whatever.
The ceramic tile?
Yeah.
It looks like literally cheap.
They'll be Ludovici.
Okay.
And I forget how many numbers, there's like 75 or something like that they need to. I should have brought that down, I forgot to. This is from Precision Slate.
Okay.
Was there what they thought, the repairs that they have submitted to you. And there's also some tuck pointing, I think, materials and so forth. And they said how much, how many feet, needed to be replaced. I wish that someone from there was here.
Yeah, Ludovici will usually, they have all the molds. So they will literally, or at least they used to, or always, really good to work with, and they'll reproduce anything for you. They just mold it and fire it up and do it.
My understanding is roofing company has to be certified with them or something like
Okay, that's probably true, yeah.
that. So
But you're keeping the tile roof,
Yeah.
so that's not an issue, so you're doing with that. So the issue is,
Like, for example, in this photo, I mean, there's a lot of box gutter left, so I don't, that's what I guess, you know,
It's a pretty, I mean, obviously it's a massive roof though, I think.
Right.
I mean, I definitely think that whoever took the pictures got the parts where it's still present, but there's so many that are missing.
what percent? I mean, is it half missing? Is
I
it-
honestly didn't even see any of them. This is when you presented them to me, I think it was yesterday, that was the first I had seen them.
they said that they had sent them to your contractor in May. So that's why maybe your contractor didn't understand that was an important thing for us to know.
Yeah, I'm not sure who they are.
Precision Slate,
Got it, okay.
because they've been working obviously with the subcapacity.
Right, they probably would have been communicating directly with the contractor.
Hmm.
Yeah, he might not have, I don't know, he might have missed that top part.
It looks like they're all missing on the porch.
Yeah, they're all missing on the board.
Okay, so I would think that for the porch, certainly, we would stick with our earlier decision. And then I guess we need to look at the rest of it.
yeah,
See those-
see, this is exactly the premise. You see the crown line and the soffit, which I'm just gonna have to approach the screen.
So all of this stuff down here is intact. This is intact and then this molding here, but that also means on the top side, there's a box gutter that you're not putting the box gutter back. What are you doing to all of this? Because that can't go away.
Yeah, that I don't have the answer for, how exactly they plan to approach that, but I can get that.
And if you were planning to attach the gutter to the outside of that, then you got that molding to deal with. And how do you attach that without damaging the molding and making sure that the water's not?
Do you know if the house next door, because they're also in the process of remodeling, do you know if they are also using box gutters? It's that we literally have like the identical house.
You do, yeah.
So I don't know if they're also using box gutters or if they're.
So those were, so like, for example, those lower ones, those are what is called jumped, which is where they've jumped them, they've taken off the molding, and they've hung a leaf gutter on the outside face.
Yeah.
Which some of those may have been done prior to this being listed district. It's not something we would support now. So it's sorting through, but they've not done that up on the, the main house. So,
Yeah, not yet. I don't know if, do you know if they've been approved for?
I would have to go back and look.
Okay.
It could have been the same thing where we didn't have correct photos, so,
Because we're pretty much, we were gonna be modeling
yeah.
what they were gonna be doing with their gutters. That's what the contractor planned to do. So I'm not exactly sure how, the technical aspect of how we were gonna get it done, but I know he did plan on touching base with them next door.
It almost seems like, if you, I don't know, if you wanted to chat with your contractor and if that's better out, and then come back to us and maybe provide a suggestion for what you were planning to do. Based on what he pointed on the screen, you don't want to change that. How is the contractor going to handle that without using box cutter? Because I think that's the bigger, we don't want to touch that, right?
Do you have any suggestions? Just so I can throw a couple things out there.
I mean, we don't allow jumping box gutters or stop gutters.
correct.
They, like you said, they have been done in the past. And what that means is people will just, the tile will stop, then they'll put a piece of plywood over that and then put asphalt shingles. Is that really something that, you want to do even? I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I actually saw somebody in this district even jump it and they still put slate back over the jump. So they did some things, and that's why I asked about the tile. I mean,
Yeah.
there may be some ways to
Yeah,
make it less obvious on the jump, but it's still a jump nonetheless.
Yeah, but at that point, you're going almost flat, so
Correct.
you don't want to do a tile because you're gonna get,
Get water.
yeah, that's
you're
right.
gonna, yeah, freezing underneath there and they're just gonna crack off. Could do it with metal, or you could do it with EPDM. Would probably be better than shingles because that slope is almost minimal at that point.
If you have to do all that, wouldn't the box cutter just be simpler? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
It seems,
do we allow box cutters that are aligned with membrane? They don't have to be metal, which I would think would be relatively inexpensive, like even like an EPDM or another type of membrane.
And in some sections where the metal may still be intact and secure, you can actually leave the metal intact and you go right over the top of it. And in a lot of the sections where they're simply like right down the side of the house, I mean, there's nothing even left right there. You can see, so they're gonna have to build out some things anyways. I would hate to just see,
I hate to take time from us to take a break right now, but I actually have that information from Precision Slate,
okay,
and I could go get that if that.
well, the kind of the other part of this is I would hate to just simply reconsider an appeal approval versus if we can talk about a modification to your COA, that's a better
Yeah.
option. And then if you still need to change it, or you hit a technical issue, I'd rather have you come back and revisit it again, but at least that, if we were to make a modification to your COA under consideration, and you find, okay, my contractor can make the box cutters work, you have the approval process in place, and you can just work with Connie, you get the amended COA, and you're off and running. If we just do a repeal because we're not sure, and you want to explore details, and it's just kind of maybe an appeal or repealing an approval, and it's just, there's nothing to go on, you're still gonna have to maybe come back.
and I think knowing that you don't have to replace the box cutter as a metal gutter might help you and your team come up with an alternative that's still a box cutter, but not as expensive version of it.
So you're saying it doesn't have to be metal?
No.
Right, and also what we're saying is that where the metal gutter is still placed within the box, like a lot of those pictures, if you clean it out, that they could probably just glue the membrane inside of that and line it. So you don't have to put any new gutter on at all. You're just lining the existing. And of course, where it's missing, you'd have to rebuild that in those areas. But again, using a glued on membrane.
They would have been rebuilding something in those sections where there's a lot of damage anyways.
They would have had to build something, so the fact that you're building something you're using as opposed to you're building a dummy that you're jumping.
You know what, it actually shows something right here. This image is actually really telling because
Here is your house here with the box cutter. Here is their house with the box cutter.
So that's what they're doing.
yes,
They are rebuilding theirs and lining.
So we're saying, find a solution that's not a metal gutter and then resubmit. what
well,
we
if you want to propose metal lined box cutters, have at it.
Yeah, would be really nice.
That's
But
what I want to. But there actually are standards outlined in the code for rebuilding and relining gutters with
Rubber.
rubber.
Okay.
So, this is a relevant thing, but are you still working with Precision Slate, or are you?
I would assume so.
Okay.
I'm not sure his level of contact with them though.
Because that may be, if I can communicate with your general contractor, them, then I think we can get it worked out
Okay,
pretty easily.
okay.
And, I've already been out there a couple times, I can go again. If they're there, you and I, we didn't really find what we were looking for, because we were seeing missing gutter there. And as I said, I don't have that much of experience with slate, tile as much as slate, so I kind of didn't know what to look for. So, if you're okay with holding off, or you modify, I think what you're saying is modify the COA to say repair the gutters.
Right. And
That-
submit whether you're going to do rubber or metal
Yeah,
to staff. Staff can then approve your process of rebuilding the box cutters, and at least then there's no holdups on our part.
Okay.
and I would recommend even, holding off on saying it's okay for the porch now until I'm sure,
Good.
talking with everybody, are they gone or can they be repaired or whatever?
So I guess in the case of HR 21-08 019A, would there be a motion here to reconsider?
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay. And any conditions, since there's discussion here, any conditions that would be placed on this motion?
Trying to figure out how to phrase this. Consideration of repair in lieu of replacement. Good enough.
Repair and consideration of lieu of replacement, and perhaps that the applicant will follow up with staff on the process of whether they're going to choose to reline with metal or rubber accordingly, and to submit any proper documentation.
And can we also make it that with repair, that it can be staff approved?
Yes.
That way, you wouldn't have to wait a month. I mean, as soon as you got stuff, it would be done. So let's make it.
Procedural thing. I think to reconsider, I think we need two motions here based on.
Okay,
The first motion is to reconsider based on evidence that we get.
that makes sense.
If that's passed, then a second motion would be of how you think the previously issued COA should be thought about.
Okay,
So then going back to the root motion was simply to reconsider the HR 21-08 019A.
so amended.
So approved?
Okay, any further
Second.
discussion? Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstention? Okay, motion passes. Now specifically to the particulars of amending the COA.
I move to amend the COA with for repair in lieu of replacement, and that it be staff approvable. The repairs be staff approvable.
Second.
Wonderful. And just for clarification, it's just related to HR 21-08 019A, 1703 Bryden Road. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes, any abstentions? It passes. If for some reason you hit technical issues in the field, other issues, just communicate with staff 100%. County can always come out, she can work with your contractor. You know, want you to have a successful project. But we want it to also be done within the purview of the guidelines and get you out on the right foot.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Connie, case number 8.
Okay, number 8, the application was moved to staff approval at the September 2nd HRC business meeting. As required, information was submitted regarding tree removal and play surface material, and which will be just natural mulch. The fence will not be attached to the school building, and a COA has been issued.
Wonderful.
No action required. Number 9, 1776 Brighton Road, as requested to be continued to October.
I move to continue HR 21-08-022 till October.
Second.
Wonderful. Motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Okay, number 10, I think we have someone here, 2104 Toller Street.
Hello. Wonderful. Each of you, if you could just take a seat, and raise your right hand. Do you each swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening?
I do.
I do. Okay, and that each of you could clearly state your name and association with the property for the record.
Sure. My name is Lori Bone. I'm the operations manager for In Town Homes and Apartments. They've owned the building and operated our leasing office out of it since 1999.
Wonderful.
My name is Rodrigo Velasco, and I'm the landscape architect.
Wonderful. Welcome. Funny.
Okay, I think it's landscape and hardscape application. For this September 2nd business meeting, comments included, the commissioners are generally supported all aspects of the proposal, except for the retaining wall, because the consistent sloping front lawns along this block of pillar is the landscape feature of the street. Staff recommends approval of the application as submitted, with the exception of the proposed retaining wall. Based on 3116.13 standards for site improvements. A, landscaping, parking, utility, or service areas, walkways, and similar improvements should be compatible with each other and to the subject building or structure, as well as to the adjacent contributing properties, open spaces, and the overall environment.
Okay, I'm looking for commission comments here.
Sure.
I guess they will hear from the applicant first.
Very nice to hear that you support most of the plan. Totally understand about the slope of the lawn. We were hoping, I think, long-term to do something other than lawn. It's just kind of hard in the campus area to maintain it, and it's not, because of the slope, it's not really usable. So I didn't know if there were any potential suggestions other than the wall.
Historically, English ivy has been used, probably the most common. There's also some other plantings that are used, but that's probably the go-to one. But, you know, your landscape architect would probably know some other low maintenance items that historically have been used.
We understand, you know, planting ivy, it takes a couple of years to really grow in as a full bed. But that was what was on a lot of these sort of sloped lawns originally throughout Columbus.
So if we were to modify and include, you know, ivy or other similar ground cover on that lawn piece, we would possibly be approved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the feature is a slope, not taking down the slope and putting a wall.
When were you looking to complete the work?
We would like to complete it before winter.
Okay, well, we could, if the rest of the commissioners are in agreement, we could approve this tonight with the stipulation that the retaining wall is not, and that you have the option to plant English ivy and or a similar ground cover. It would be approved by staff, and that way you would have your approval and you can get moving. Is that?
We like that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
maybe it could be just as simple as just, you know, a modification of the plan to staff that just shows A, no wall and follow-up.
Okay.
And then B, if you do have the ivy, just the extent of the area where the ivy gets planted as part of your revision. Motion?
Okay, yes, on the, let's see, on, item, this is number 8,
Yeah.
10, sorry, time's here. Okay, on HR-21-09-022, 2104 Tuttle Street, I move to approve the application as submitted, with the exception that there will be no retaining wall and that the grass area on the slope can be English ivy and or other appropriate ground cover as approved by staff.
Second.
Wonderful. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yep. Extension. Motion passes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Just follow up with case number 11.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Have a seat. If you could raise your right hand for me. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening?
I do.
Wonderful. And state your full name and association with the property for record.
Thaddeus Jones, I'm the creator and designer of the drawings we're looking at tonight.
Wonderful, thank you.
I'm here representing homeowners Don Benetta and Kanal Chatterjee.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, so this is a two-parter now, well, yeah, one-parter now, actually. Rebuild the front porch, not the front porch. The new grid rooftop deck, which would also include the dormer, has been removed from the application. September business meeting comments included, a more detailed drawing of the hand railings for the front porch and front steps, or product cut sheet of the railings, or if they're to be metal. So the response to that is that the existing metal handrails will just be retained. They're not going to be changed. Product cut sheets for any exterior light fixtures. Also, there's a light fixture there, and they will retain that. A more detailed drawing of the porch cornice and columns. So I did receive revised drawings, but it was after the deadline that the commission has clearly established that we need to submit new things to them. He did bring
I do have copies. Can I bring them to you?
if you wish to accept those. I looked them over and I think I'm fine with them. I think the details provided are appropriate. So there will not be, again, no more, addition of the rear porches, no need to change a window to a door and so forth. So, there will be a new fan light, for the second floor on the front porch. And you also asked about paint, that was white to match the existing. All they need to do on the rear is to repair the room. So with these changes, commission supports approval. Then for you guys.
Is there anything you want to
Actually, I think Connie covered everything, so.
add? I think these are appropriate. We are getting really strict though about time submittal and stuff.
I understand.
So we accepted them tonight, but I don't know if commissioners in the future would need to consider that. However, I'm fine with these.
I'd be willing to entertain a motion.
Okay. You want to move on this one?
Motion to move HR 2109-023, 1256, 1258 Dryden Road as submitted.
Would that be as submitted this evening? Is it clear?
This evening, yes, for these drawings.
Motion.
I second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No? Abstention? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Case number 12. '57 Riverview Park Drive. You could have a seat and raise your right hand in a moment. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening?
I do.
Wonderful. And state your full name and association with the property for records.
Charles Perez, the applicant, architect.
Wonderful.
Hold on, there's one. Oh, hold on.
Right. Staff has to go through their presentation first.
Okay. So this is to modify a Bergen 1950 memory. September 2nd business meeting, comments included. The east elevation for both sides of the new screen porch should be pulled back from the existing sunroom, so it is not one long elevation. It should be clear where the original porch ends and the new porch begins. Wood posts rather than stone columns on the screen porch would visually distinguish the new from the existing. And the drawings have been revised to reflect those business meeting comments. The existing house does not have any exterior light fixtures. There will be only interior lighting and also downspouts to match. And now something again was sent to me today, which would have to do with windows. I don't know if the commission will look at them or not. I don't agree with what was submitted. So you can talk about that and.
So I wanted to just benchmark the windows that were original windows. In 2008, we went before the HRC. We were approved with the Marvin windows and the utilizing the lead tape that and that was approved. So the intent was that we would utilize that strategy again, if appropriate, versus going the wood divided lights because the house has lead windows. So I just brought information from the past in 2008 that was approved. And then the windows that we were selected, those are the ones that are in the guidelines. So I just wanted to benchmark that those are the windows that we were submitting. Because I put in verbs, but I just wanted to support a little graph.
And even, even if we were to continue, keep considering the window debate, this is a conceptual review. He still has to submit final full
Well,
drawings.
they were requesting approval based on the changes. If those were okay, which I support the changes. I just still not sure if I support using a leaded glass window in a 1950s addition.
Well, the addition wasn't put on in 1950. My understanding from the original house was that was actually an open porch original.
Yeah, right.
And then in 1950s, they went ahead and they enclosed it, okay, and they put the windows in. So what we're proposing is actually changing out the aluminum windows, the root from the original windows, and putting in the Marvin windows into the stone portion of the porch. Then the screen porch would just be a screen porch. So therefore, the Marvin windows would be within the stone columns. That's the,
Would they be multi-light like that?
yes, they would be multi-light, same proportions as the leaded glass that's already in the house, based on that. I mean, if I could show you the information.
I think we're following. Basically, what you're doing is you're putting windows that match the original house.
We're utilizing the same typology of windows. You have a picture of the existing, that I sent in the existing windows? No, on my application, the site photos of the house.
But the conflict here is say through the 19.
I have one.
It's an original.
Yeah, it was part of my original application. So in 1950s, they enclosed that porch with aluminum slider windows, which are both dysfunctional and they're.
We're no windows.
They were approved.
No, they were never approved.
The existing windows that are in the main house were
Yes,
for replacement in 2008, you said?
yes,
Which is before we had a list. But you're saying that they have applied leaded glass, that,
yes. So what we did was we took the Marvin windows, we sent them off to a specialty glass
yeah,
artisan.
that's been approved in some other.
and had him apply the leaded tape on both the inside and the outside.
Right, because the original windows on the main house also had
Yes.
were leaded windows,
Yes,
and therefore you were replicating as close as could to the original windows of the house. Now the application is you want to use a window, the same window that's in the original house, in the enclosure.
correct. So the,
And the condition of the 1950s windows that were put in, they're such that they need to be replaced at this point.
yeah, they were aluminum, so they're oxidized and single pane. They don't slide anymore, and they're, dysfunctional. So they're just large 5x5 aluminum.
That's probably why something like that was approved, because it's open, and we were trying to make it.
I don't think, this was not, this was not, that's, it was put in the 1950s. I think there was never any, there was not a historic resource commission in the 1950s, it was just put in.
Exactly. But when the windows were put in, no, they wouldn't have been.
So. You have to swear.
Yeah, sir, I'm Marshall. Have, hold on, raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and the testimony before the king. Yes. Okay, and state your full name again for the record.
Hi, Marsh. House was built in 27. The room where those sliding windows are, that was originally an open air porch. He filled it in, the owner, we're the third owner. The previous owner had lived there for 50 some years. She grew up in the house across next door. She made that an all weather room, 60s. Has put those windows in and put heating in that room. So that's why those are those windows that they are.
I think the drawing that we had for was like dated 1950.
I honestly don't.
Yeah.
I'm not offended by the removal of the 1950s windows, and probably in this case, utilizing the same window to match the 2008 windows. I think I'd advocate for that in this case.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the justification here. Had there been a commission at the time and had they wanted to match the windows of the original house, we have done that, probably. I mean, it seems like it would be a justifiable position to say you're matching the original, the windows of the original construction. So I guess I can go, I guess I can make myself believe that.
I also feel that there's no loss of history in replacing these, at least contextually important history, I should say, by taking out the 1950s window and actually putting something that may just look less like a mid-century modification.
Yeah, you're actually saying they're 1960s though, right?
Right.
60s, which would make more sense for a
Put that
little
in
sliding.
1962, 1960.
And that would be about the year of the aluminum. Early 50s, it probably would have been steel still.
On the windows, how many lights over, how many lights are they now?
So these are double hung, they're 4x4s.
Okay.
We're proposing using the same proportional the same module in those windows, but using the outswing casement. So you won't be able to see the screens on the outside, which are nice. But if there's screens, they'll be on the inside. It'd be the operable casement versus the double hung.
I think I support that too.
Just a little trivia fact for you. To go to that, shows the portal window.
Yeah, in the front of the house, there is a portal window above the door, which is a casement.
You notice that part of the room sticks out a little bit?
that thing.
Yeah,
You know, to go.
doesn't completely align, and when she had that put in, she had a baby grand piano. And she put it there, and she wanted a portal window rather than regular windows because she didn't want people looking at her playing. She told us all these things.
So if you look at the one view, we're proposing opening that up and putting windows there. Make the sunroom both northern and southern, northern diffuse.
I guess from the, Connie, you said the applicant has actually requested full approval.
Yeah.
So I feel very comfortable with what we talked about this evening. I feel very comfortable with the windows discussion. I feel comfortable with giving you a conceptual approval. I do not feel comfortable that this is an approval package because it doesn't have any measured drawings actually in it that actually fully details everything out. You know, like, this is a kind of a more normal setup where we get everything dimensioned, a construction document set almost in some ways, you know, at least the relevant things like, you know, what is the profile of the tail of the rafter of the trellis component? What are, you know, the actual dimension drawings? Where are the, you know, we need drawings that we can actually prove, which I don't think this is in my mind, my other members of the commission may disagree with me, but I don't feel like.
Yeah, and let's say you get everything submitted. Yeah, we'll give you a conceptual approval tonight. You get everything submitted, and then at our business meeting in 2 weeks, we could decide to make that to staff approval, which would mean that as soon as Connie got to approving it, which could be, you know, only a couple days, that would mean 2 weeks instead of possible if everything is submitted properly, rather than a whole month.
If you submit construction drawings that you probably would then turn around and probably submit for your building permit that match this concept plan, you're gonna go quick.
Your turnaround's pretty fast though, for when you have to get the stuff to the business meeting, so,
Next Friday morning.
yes.
Okay, say that again.
Next Friday morning.
A week from to tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really Thursday afternoon, but I give people overnight. If you want to stay till midnight to do it, that's fine.
yeah, it goes pretty fast. So, anyway, are you ready for a motion for conceptual approval?
Yeah, and just to clarify that, if you have any questions about what belongs in a full package, please reach out to Connie. She can even give you a sample packet, but it's everything from overhangs to columns, trim details, hammer details, you know, any light fixtures, color selection, all those things just need to be in there. It's a package, include all of your window details.
Right.
Because I think you've got very good feedback from this commission this evening. Oh, very remote.
Okay, the thing here. Okay, and this was number 12?
Yeah.
On HR -21 -09 -024, I move to approve the conceptual package. Guess that's it, Rick.
Do you want to clarify anything regarding the windows as discussed?
Oh, because they weren't in the package.
Correct.
Including the conceptual windows as presented this evening that are from the approved list with leaded tape on the inside and the outside. Full details to be submitted.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any noes? Motion passes. We look forward to just give the drawings in promptly. It'll come up at our next meeting. Hopefully we'll be back today.
Okay, yeah.
If there's something small too that comes up that you want to prove or something, try to get all your stuff in and, you know, if you want to do the planning plan or something, you gotta work that out with staff later.
Yeah, and if not, we'll just see you here next.
Great, perfect,
Okay.
All right.
wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for the,
Well, you know,
for the help.
Okay, case number 13, 497 East Town Street.
Probably be good to put it over there.
And that table. Okay, great. Yeah.
Put it over there. Did you guys bring a U-Haul tonight?
That's these guys. They're really happy with us today.
You just need the building here.
Okay, if I could have each of the three of you raise your right hands. Do you each swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening?
Yes, they do.
Wonderful. And if each of you could state your full name and association with the project for record.
I'm Terry Umberger with Moody Nolan.
David Malika, Moody Nolan.
Matt Lutz with CVDC.
Wonderful. Thank you. Connie?
Okay, so this is for new construction. Vacant lots. The project was conceptually reviewed August 19th. It has been conceptually reviewed also by the Downtown Commission. The September 2nd business meeting comments include provide street level details for the garage to show what the pedestrian experience will be. Provide a physical example of proposed vinyl window. Need to understand what the plantings will cover on day one of installation. Provide details for exterior lighting, doors, cornice, materials, and balcony railings. The proposed new construction generally meets CC 3116.12 standards for new construction in regard to height, cladding materials, scale, and compatibility with the contributing properties in the neighborhood. Proposed exterior light fixture appears too historical. Something more simple may be appropriate for new construction. More specific manufacturer model or material information is needed for the columns, cornice, trim, materials, and railing. And additional review by the commission of if this window sample is needed. So would recommend approval of the application as revised. With final window railings, light fixture, and column details to be submitted to ADPO staff. May not be necessary now. In consultation with the subcommittee if that's needed, or with more time is needed, continue. So we have new information and, as you can see, and I wanted to actually just give the commission this, if it's okay too, on the railing. So you can see.
Yes. Maybe if you want to, in the meantime, fill in the gaps. Let us know. What else would you like to tell us as applicant?
No, I did have just one more question, which is the things you answered. So I printed out this and circled all those. But the thing about the Tuscan columns, it was also round or fluted, tapered or not tapered, and stuff like that.
We'll start with the easy stuff. The columns are tapered, non-fluted, smooth columns. So what we brought in is, again, the material list, the exterior skin. We've got 2 colors of brick that we're planning on using for the base. And again, the primary color is going to be the tan taupe, with the accent of the darker brick that's going to be used for the base, as well as pointing and headers. And then, trim wise, we're using Aztec trims, which is, material that, paintable, it doesn't, rot. Again, all the trim shapes are here. We have one that's not, that manufacturer is a larger molding, but again, it's a foam-based product that is gonna be painted. As part of that. The siding, we have three types of siding. We have black siding, which is the standard, straight lap product. We have the shake siding, which is, again, will be something of this nature. And again, this is the primary material for the building. So levels 2, 3, 4 will get this. And for the most of the facades, I would say that the north facade and the west facade get that. East facade, excuse me. And part of the south facade. And then we'll switch over to lap siding on the back, which would be rest of the west of the south facade, excuse me, and all of the west side and the courtyard. But the upper part of the building will be scalloped. We have not been able to get a sample of that, but it's made out of the same material. But it's a special order and they can't give us a sample. So.
You said three, what am I missing? Lap siding, the shake siding?
And scallops.
Okay.
You mentioned something about the smooth versus
Right.
the wood finish. They make a smooth in the lap. They do not make a smooth in the shake or the scallop. This dimensional, it sort of has that wood grain look. As you can get closer, you can see. So it's sort of a pressed wood look.
I mean, they would have had some grain.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, some of those grains are just so outrageously fake
Yeah.
that they just look bizarre, but this is so minimal, and when you paint it, it'll look, I think,
So the lap and the scalp could potentially still be a flat surface.
Not the scallop. Scallop cannot be. They said this and the scallop cannot be. They just don't make it that way. The other one is it's a special order, but they do make it. But again, I also say is that the lap siding starts at 16 feet, or all the siding does. So we have 16 feet of masonry before we even hit any of that stuff. So even from, I think, a perspective, pretty high up there. And what we're asking for on colors, siding, we've got three tones that we want to look at. We want to actually paint them out in the field and see how they feel on the building, to be honest with you. We're tending towards these darker ones. And maybe the middle of the building being the darker tone, and then the scallops being a lighter. We think this one might be too light, so that was my concern. And then green, which will be the trims, pretty much all the trims will be one of these two. I'm tending towards this darker one. I'm thinking this might be too bright outside, but again, wanted to finalize that with a paint sample on the building, actually. Windows. So what we brought in is, first of all, let's start with this one. This is going on your approved list. This is the Quaker. What we're proposing is using this window, which is actually a vinyl product, double hung. Size of them would be this height, but another foot wider, with a 1 mullion line down the middle. And as you see, for the most part, we're gonna be trimming out, at least the upper stories of it with this wood trim similar to this. And it'll have a crown that'll wrap around the top edge of it. We couldn't get a larger sample of that. That's what we have. And again, it's all vinyl. It's a simulated divide. It's got the spacer between it. I think it has the frame shown on all around the sides. I'm not seeing a huge difference between these two. I think, to be honest with you, I think the vinyl is a little more elegant than some of the detailing. But if you want to come up and take a look at it, and it has a finish on it, I feel it's almost like a steel window in some sense, because it's got a texture to it and it's a matte finish. Uh, yeah.
These were the balcony.
What is it?
These were the balcony.
These would be the windows.
On the whole floor.
What do you think?
Well, it is new construction. So, you know, it's
Connie, you've had this window now with stat. What's that and sort of the rest of the department sort of feeling?
I'll show you what my concerns are.
You know, I'm gonna approach it here real quickly.
if it was historical building.
So it's good that it has, it has like I talked about, the texture is much better than they used to make. It almost kind of has the look of a steel basement kind. And it's good that it has, the muntins on outside and inside and space in between. They're flat, but then flat. And then the other thing that you will see here kind of is that you see more of the entire thatch
Mhm.
up here. And I don't understand why we have this frame. So that it makes the styles look like they're half an inch wide. So those are mine.
Sort of black, so maybe a little depth as well.
Yeah.
It looks applied as opposed to that one. So it goes in.
The margin or this?
No, the kind of the whole window. Because it's, although, this is new construction, so I guess,
Yeah, I get it.
whereas, I mean, this looks like it's applied, whereas the wood would come here, so, so the whole window sort of sinks in more, but
Instead of seeing this width as your entire thatch, that's kind of what I feel.
yeah. But, then we can look at it also, this is 2021. This is a typical 2021 window. It's an interpretation of sort of it's a revival type of a thing. So in the original revivals, they weren't using they weren't making stone Gothic windows. So if this were being proposed for a historical building, definitely not be supportive of it, but I guess I'm trying to sort of see it in terms of this is a new building. 2021, if you're doing a interpretation of a revival style, would use a current window. I guess this is about as current as you can get window.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about if the commission does approve it as a test case,
Yeah.
This does
because
become
once
like our
this is
first.
approved, everybody's gonna be saying, you approved that vinyl window, we want it, you know, so that's just, you really have to think about the
Yeah.
reasoning
It
behind
would be for new construction, completely new.
Right.
That would be the test.
It'd be a test case to be used in new construction only. And then we could also look at it in terms of, as a test case, that 16 feet of, I mean, this would right down on the street. I think that would be a factor. I mean, you know, I don't think we'd want to see this window right down.
What are the ground floor windows?
So we were proposing the same window but a fixed unit.
But they're set back, it's not like there's a sidewalk. It's the building, it's on the north side.
also consider, say, if you're, and this is the way I have to think, that somebody builds a new house in Old Oaks and Brighton Road. It's an Italian window or whatever it is. And that's new construction. Is this window appropriate for that? I would say no.
Yeah, that's your point on that, because what's the difference between a apartment building and a
Yeah.
house? We differentiate that.
Yeah, so just, that's what you need to think about.
I think it comes down to scale also for that instance on a house versus.
It's a bigger building. I don't really have any issue with these, yes, because, you know, I think we've you've approved some of this in the past. It's smooth, the profiles are pretty detailed, and it's paintable.
Mhm.
So I don't have any issue with that up on, you know, the corner.
Yeah, I don't need it, and if people want to use that on their house, that'd be fine with that, because it's not gonna rot. It's gonna be painted, it's the same thing. I mean, you know, I think kind of in general, for those products. And I think that's, you know, the siding and stuff.
Yeah, as long as this is smooth.
Yeah, I think, because that's really textured. Yeah, I think even that high up. Even painted. Great feel with brick.
The brick, I'm honestly indifferent.
Yeah, it's brick.
Colors, I'd actually be okay with throwing for staff approval during the later.
So I guess our big issue is
Good.
the window.
How would you feel about? How would you feel about, the windows in the brick on the first floor being different from the upper floors? Is that a possibility in the realm of?
I think they could be, yeah. I mean, we could definitely look at that.
So I think there's a sense of when you experience the window at the first floor grade,
Yeah.
through some grasses, you're really close to it. We see things differently, but then once we're getting to the second, third, fourth, fifth floor, I think they're up high enough where so there's compromises where we could allow the window of choice.
Was again, down the street, the storefront's been used for ground floor levels, so is that appropriate?
If it was in, I mean, is it in the district? Maybe
Yeah.
it would be in the district.
First of all, is in the district, and there are some other factors, even if it is in the district, you know, what was there, was it, how recently was it?
About timing of it.
There,
I'm just thinking from an aesthetic standpoint, if we can get a fixed window that even solves some of the issues that we're talking about. If it's not operable, there's not as much of an issue about, I think, some of the frames that we're talking about.
One of the important things about a lot of the windows on the historic list,
Yeah.
like the pre-approved list, is that they have a brick mold against the brick, and it really looks right. And
And
that's
we
what,
will have that on
yeah.
brick. We'll
Also,
have a
there
brick
will be a
mold
brick
on
mold there.
this window.
So
So
you
this,
won't have
all
that.
we're showing an example is what would be on the siding, which would be a siding to this.
Okay.
But
So
the brick.
there's a different configuration in the brick.
Yeah.
okay,
There'd be a brick mold here, and then the brick would come out past it, so.
Looking at it from back there, sorry, but if from a distance, if this is covered up, it's kind of looks more
Right,
like this is the sash.
right.
So for me, if this was covered up, it would look better.
Yeah, I agree.
You're talking
That's why I
about
look for
sliding
applied.
the trim work over.
Yeah.
I'll have to check and see why we couldn't do it, but I can't see why we couldn't do it.
Okay, yeah. That looks a lot better. It looks less like you stuck it on there.
So in that case, then, tell me then, do you think this is reading as the frame of the window? And still on the brick, do a brick mold and then the brick?
You always would have had a brick mold on a
Right.
district historic house.
So we'd have to figure out a trim that would go somehow transition like between those two areas.
The brick mold or the casing would be right adjacent to the sash. So there needs to be not a third thing there. There's 3 layers.
It's this here that you're bothered by. Here. Okay. I can't figure out a reason why we could not do that. It's because if they have to replace the window, they have to pull the trim off anyway, so.
It just kind of fools your eye to make, to look like that's the
Okay.
sash, even though it's not the sash.
Yes, I think we can do that. Again, I want to confirm that with the manufacturer, but I can't see that being an issue. So I think what we can supply you with then is a detail showing that that's how it will be installed on this window. And we'll also show you the same, how we would do it on the brick with a brick mold on it.
We still have to do is a test case because we want to see how this is going to look. And if it looks okay, I mean, then, you know, maybe we get this added to
Or maybe the standards for new construction is when it's appropriate.
yeah. And depending upon the detail.
I'm not gonna get that added to the list, because that has to be approved.
That's a big deal, yeah, to add it, but, okay. Are we ready to try and put this?
Sure, do we need separate motions? Well,
Give us an A here.
is the only part of this being potentially just working out the final details of the window, so we're withholding full window approval and your discussion follow the manufacturer.
Yeah, they need approval to go get a building permit though, right? So that's sort of the issue on it.
Can they have it by the business meeting? Can you have it to me next week, Friday?
The detail?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Terry says yes, we can get it.
we could approve everything else, right?
Maybe
So, what about the rail?
slidings, are we saying that one of them wants to be smooth?
Yeah, the horizontal lap, I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
One.
yeah, the horse.
That is one thing I wanted to ask you about the finial. Are finials appropriate for, there's not that many finials, right? But
There's only two.
Oh.
One's the major one on the tower, one's the small one that's on top of the.
no, on the railing.
Oh.
You specified a finial on the railing.
They're on the balcony, on the bay balconies,
Oh, yeah.
just two of them.
Oh, it's those little,
Yes, on the corners.
Oh, the circles.
again, I look at this as new construction, I'm not.
Okay. When I looked on there, it just looked a little old, you know, that's. It's on the,
Second page.
second page of it. And were you okay with, you didn't really discuss out the plantings, that's what the question you had. You know, how much will it be there already covering?
So-
Grades before,
Supposed to be the landscape plan, I think you put calipers and sizings in them.
Oh, well, I don't take a stab at it. What's the number? It's,
HR 13, HR 21, 0905.
yeah, okay, on, I move that HR -21 -09 025, part A, that the application be approved as submitted with the exception of the windows. Part two, part B would be the windows. Makes sense.
Then the side.
Oh, and with the clarification that that the siding be the smooth texture.
The lap side.
The lap siding be the smooth texture. The other exterior materials as submitted.
Further, three-part color scheme of paint be approved with staff in the field or as earlier submitted.
Agreed.
Second,
Okay,
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Extensions? No. Passes.
okay. I move that in HR -21 -09 205, part B, we're going to continue this part B until we get submission, or do you want to conditionally approve something? What are we thinking?
If they're gonna submit, it would be a continued, and then
Okay,
hopefully with the details that they have at the business meeting. Might be able to
We
move
just-
that to the-
right. Approval of all windows and window detailing be continued.
so second.
Wonderful. Motion and second. All those in favor, say aye. Extensions? Motion passes.
Right.
Just give them, we'll look at what we need by next Friday and we'll look at our business meeting. You're welcome to attend to that business meeting too, if you want to get any direct feedback during the course of that meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Nani, you keep these materials? You're welcome.
If you want to, maybe take photos of them, and then I can keep those in a digital file, that would be helpful.
Okay, moving on to new business. I do not believe there is any new business. Connie, do you want to say anything regarding, I think we have an additional appointee to the commission?
Yes, Autumn R. Glover.
Okay.
She was actually recommended or suggested by Aaron, proper name, or Aaron Prosser. We always ask people, if you're leaving, do you have any ideas? And so they actually are similar, have similar background in work and so forth. So she will be here in October for the business meeting and the hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, I've worked with Autumn in a MOPC committee. She's good. I'm excited to have her join us.
Great. Any old business to address before the commission meeting? Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Wonderful. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 6:39 PM.
Aye.
Sorry, 5:39 PM.
Congratulations.